Welcome back. You're watching the Money Show with me, Kavita Thakliyar. We see a lot of strategies as far as investing trends are concerned, but what trend is exactly being followed by AMCs or investors in terms of investing? What investing trend is not only making money for investors but also providing innovation and diversification to their portfolio? Let's talk about all this. I have Tarun Birani, founder and CEO, TBNG Capital Advisors, with me. Tarun, good evening and welcome to the show. So I think since pandemic, we've been seeing this new wave of new investing styles and new investing features being launched by AMCs. And because in the pandemic, we've seen that even investors have done a lot of research as far as investment options are concerned. They've gotten slightly more aware about financial planning, and personal finance has taken the center stage in their life and in their financial life, especially. Since then, we've seen a lot of changes in investment styles, not only because of innovative themes that AMCs are coming up with, but also a change in the thought process, or maybe we can call behavioral finance, which has also changed a lot from an investor's perspective. Currently, right now, what according to you are the other running investment themes adopted or introduced by AMCs?
Good evening, Kavita, and let me start with my understanding and my principle that I feel investing is a very boring thing, and the trends and all these things are something which give me more worry than give me more excitement, because I feel when there are too many things are coming, it is becoming very noisy around, right? So, and you can't create a lot of wealth with noise, right? You need much more clarity, much more simplicity. So I want to start my conversation with that simplicity is the most important part of investing, and investors should remember that. But nevertheless, since you have called me to ask about the trends going on, so based on my understanding, currently we are seeing a lot of flows coming in. At least from last 4 months, I am observing that mid and small cap funds are getting lot of inflows currently, and rightly so, because last 4 5 months we have seen markets for mid and small caps have been doing particularly very well. And again, if you ask me from a behavioral allocation point of view, if something is going too much up, investors tend to start investing more in that. That's the way how a herd mentality works, right? And that is what I can see currently happening. And there are some valuation red signals which I can clearly see, at least in this category. So one need to be very careful in terms of net fresh inflows into this category. Apart from that, I can see a lot of uh, trend, if I have to say, from asset allocation category is finding a lot of inflows in terms of dynamic asset allocation or multi-asset funds, because after this March ending, the new debt fund taxation rule which has come in, the debt funds have become unattractive immediately after that. And due to that, investors are looking at some bit of more conservative strategies. So we have equity savings category, we have multi-asset categories, we have a balance advantage category. So we are seeing a lot of repositioning happening in those categories. So there also you could see a lot of inflows or the new money which is coming in. Apart from that, we could see some smart beta strategies are also finding a lot of favor in terms of passives. So passive, and I'm very happy to see that there is a lot of inflows in the passive side, and in passives also we could see a lot of smart beta strategies with single factor and multi-factor models such as quality, momentum, low volatility, and all these also getting some new inflows coming in. Apart from that, you could see, since India is getting in center stage and you are getting a lot of positive media attention across the globe, right, on India due to the GDP growth and all those positive things coming in for India. So you could see a lot of thematic and sectoral funds are also finding a lot of attention from investors, and there is actually a lot of fascination from retail investors. Maybe there is some bit of FOMO also, fear of missing out, and investors tend to find such teams to make up
Are
for
these
lost time.
okay?
So you could
So
say,
Tarun, are you also trying to say? Are you also trying to say that it is not just the momentum that AMCs are trying to catch by introducing these kind of new investment trends, or even the kind of themes that you just mentioned? Are we also trying to say that this is a momentum play through AMCs, these new investing trends, and because an investor is now getting aware about their finances and maybe getting introduced to all these investment instruments and investment trends, they just latch on to it because they see something very new and very exciting. Is that the case over here, and which is why we are calling it an investment trend?
so yeah, at some point, yes, but I think everybody has a way to look at investing, right? Somebody who is very seasoned, experienced investor. So let's say you have themes like new manufacturing funds coming in, new business cycle funds coming in. You could see some quant funds coming in. So investors who have understanding, serious understanding of these funds, or who have seen, let's say, a global trend in such categories may want to invest in that, but that requires a much long-term outlook. What I feel missing is investors are sometimes jumping into it without understanding these themes may take a little more longer. Let's say a manufacturing theme, if I have to look at, may take a little more longer than any other category, because this cycle has to, the capex cycle has to really play out for a long period of time. So investors need to have a much more longer outlook. So the money which is available for 5 years, 7 years need to be invested in categories like that. But let's say just because there is a new fund coming in, or there is a lot of FOMO in the market, people tend to invest into these categories intuitively. So that is little issue which I feel investor in the investing style right now. But nevertheless, there are some interesting categories like passives, and that is very heartening to see. There is a lot of positive flow happening there. So, and all these smart beta strategies and all that also are very attractive for investors from a long term point of view.
So one thing is very clear, that you should know the kind of diversification you want to follow, and also do not fall into the category of herd mentality. You should know what suits you, even if the investment trend or the theme is very exciting and maybe has really worked out for someone else, doesn't have to work out for you also. But apart from that, the kind of trends you've mentioned, let's assume an investor has the co-portfolio already in place. Do you think these kind of innovative themes can then be introduced in the portfolio, even if someone has to go for it?
So if you ask me, as I started my conversation, that I am from a school that investing is a very boring thing and simplicity is something that I like. 4 5 core strategies can really take care of your long-term financial goals. A good large cap fund, or a good mid cap fund, or a good small cap fund, or a good multi cap fund are only one which you require. You don't need too many fancy categories or funds to achieve your wealth creation goal, right? Nevertheless, but people who have, let's say, understanding, and who can take a little more longer term outlook, or who are more, I would say, more sophisticated investor, they can definitely look at all these trends and categories with reasonable understanding. Yeah.
Exactly. That is what I want to I want you to elaborate on the reasonable understanding, because the kind of things you're talking about, and the ones that been highlighted by you also, we're talking about thematic sectoral funds, ESG, smart beta strategies, mid cap and small cap, overweight, which as per the trend people are really opting for. What would be the pros and cons of following these kind of themes, if even if one has to, how to make sure that you've got enough understanding, what could be a side effect of just investing in these kind of trends blindly?
Yeah, so let me give you an example. In 2000, technology theme was one of the favorites at that point of time, right? And after that, we have seen NAVs of technology funds or the IT funds have really crashed after that, right? So, perils of investing into a sector or a thematic oriented strategy is when, let's say, there is any risk which comes in that category, you will see a very large part of money we can be lost because of that, right? So, which I think most of the investors are not aware that sectoral or the thematic funds run that kind of risk, right? That is one problem. Mid and small cap, according to me, is again a play wherein people end up going based on past returns, and you will always see mid and small cap will always deliver, let's say, in a momentum market, better returns than a, let's say, a normal large cap fund or index fund. But what happens in these funds, whenever, let's say, there is a correction happens, you would see a very large correction happening in these kind of category. So I don't know how many investors are aware that the correction also will be that large. And due to that, they are caught off guard. And so let's say if you invested at 10 lakh rupees and you made 20-25% return in a small cap fund, and let's say if a correction happens, a large cap will fall by 10%, and let's say small cap falls by 20%, 30%, you will see your capital wiping out very quickly in that category. So I think from a durability and long-term return point of view, how many investors are making allocation based on, let's say, I will not increase the small cap by more than 15%. I will not go more than mid cap into more than 10%, because there is so much noise around it. Investors tend to get caught in that noise, and maybe they may take 40% into a small cap category or a 50% into small and mid cap category, which end up resulting into a large erosion of wealth, right, at that point of time, or a thematic or a sectoral fund at that point of time. So according to me, investors need to be very careful, and they need to follow suitability and asset allocation at all point of time. Asset allocation is the dharma which they should not let go off guard even if the markets are going crazy or going up. That is what my advice would be.
All right, Tarun, I think beautifully explained. Thank you so much for being on the show and helping our investors as to how can they diversify their portfolio, focusing on these new investment themes. Thank you. All right, so let's slip into a short break, and post that, let's get your